Hey everybody, hey, I'm back. Back from Pace 24. And for all of you that don't know what Pace is, it's the Plein-air Convention Expo. And so that I just got back from Smoky Mountains. And so this is one of the scenes I saw. Hey, Mary Beth. Mary Beth was there. She's sitting in the restaurant right now with the sound off. Awesome. Hey, Maria. And so we had a lot of fun. I'm sure Mary Beth had a lot of fun there. Met a lot of artists, and when there's 1,000 artists, you're definitely going to meet somebody. Hey, Maria. And so we're gonna do. I took this shot. This is the one painting that I had done, or I was gonna do there, but then instead, let me show you. I'm working on this one. This one is not finished, and it had started raining, and so I had done this one. And it was a little shop there at the farm. This is Darnell Farms, and so I'm going to finish that one up a little bit. Just kind of take it, when a lot of times when you do plein air and like it started raining, and it's not a problem to go back and finish them up in your studio. Do little touches that you couldn't do, or I mean, there's a lot of people that do it out there, but I like to do it inside here just a little bit, do some touch ups, some small stuff. All right, so here, if you can see, I added to this picture, I added a little something too, because I added the lady, she wasn't in the picture. I added that in Photoshop. Hey, Gigi. Hey, Mary Beth, Sally, Erica. Erica, you got sick? Yeah, I'm always surprised if I don't get sick at some of these thing when I'm gone for a week. But anyways, let's get going here. So I only have about an hour to get this thing done. So I want to show you, and then I'm going to show you the that I noticed that many people who are out there are not doing their value studies. Are not. They're just so excited about getting out there and not putting together. I put it together in my head and with a little bit of thumbnail thing I do. But I see many people just going out and just looking at a subject and then just starting, and without doing some preliminary sketching. So some preliminary sketching. So you got to do something to show where your big lights and darks are going to be. And so I took this now, and let me just find it for you. Let me just show you. Here's my Notan, and so to find out what I'm going to keep light and dark, and it's that simple. And even when you're out there, and when I did this other scene, that's all I did. So basically the outside of this one, the outside here was my light, and everything inside this building or inside this little farm stand was going to be the dark. And it doesn't mean that it has to be like black, but it means that this stuff has to be, the middle tone is in your dark pattern. And so the pattern is important, that you get to know what your pattern is. And so what's the pattern here? Right there. There's the pattern, a black and white. So the front of the car, this back here, the background, the windshield, the front, and the lady in the dress is my darks, and the tire here. The thing that is light is basically the car. The car in the ground a little bit. So this middle tone is like middle tone, and so basically the car is your center of interest, and it's your only light. And I know that's not what it looks like in this grayed up thing right here, but that's okay, because you have to make it, I don't care how dark it is, this part right up here, if you look there, the truck and the wall are the same, right? I don't want to keep it that way though, because otherwise that's light, and I'm going to dull down the red too, so that I can make that into the dark. So follow your value pattern, and when you're out there, it's no different. And I keep on seeing people that were out there. There was 1,000 people out there. Well, actually, there wasn't probably 1,000 out there each day, but there was close to, I would say 800 people, and they're all just wandering around painting. And the ones that were close to me, I would watch them, some of the beginners, and I have my faculty hat, and so I could go up and they would ask me a few questions, and it was kind of fun to go and see what they were doing. But I noticed that not one of them had done a value study before. And just take out a value study, thumbnail sketch. I don't care what it is. You have to decide what the thing is. Even if I think an oil painter, there was a lot of oil painter and pastel artists there. So you need to do those preliminaries. It's very important. And then, of course, the drawing is important. And a lot of them didn't spend much time on the drawing because they're oil painters and they just paint with the paint. And that's fine, too. But us watercolors have to put it down with our pencil first. And so let's get going here. Too much talking. All right, and so the light, meaning the truck, I'm just going to go right in there now and just get the truck. And I want to put up this notan, because the notan really is, I want to kind of keep it up here so that I'm going to show you how important that dark is. You know, how dark and light, that is important to keep it. So when I'm doing my light of the car, as long as I can do any kind of wash, I can do any kind of thing, any kind of color, as long as it's my lightest or brightest, and meaning red. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm just going to take some bright Scarlet Lake, and I am just going to kind of put it in here. Just going to take my Scarlet Lake, and since the other part and windshields and stuff are darker, I don't have to worry so much about getting some of that color in there. So I'm going to wet the whole truck. I'm going to wet the whole truck. And the parts that are going to be lighter, like this little sign right here, I will put gouache over that, even though I don't have any of my gouache here. It's still in the car. I mean, I had to do this really quickly last night. I just wanted to not have a demonstration today. And so let's just go right into her too. Let's just go right into her. Her dress is going to be darker, and her flesh tone is going to be warm, so I might as well go in that, wet that too. Let's go right into the truck, the background, and let's go right into the ground. So I'm wetting everything as I go along. The background being dark, right? And so I'm doing this on, actually by way of panel. I'm doing this on a watercolor panel. The bumper is white, but that doesn't mean it can't reflect some of this red in there. And now that it's all wet, and please ask questions. If you're new here and I met you at Pace, please let me know. And say hi. I met so many wonderful people there. And that's the only problem is that I met so many people and I've gotten so many cards. I went through my cards last night really quickly to just try to think and remember who is who. It's hard to kind of remember the name compared to I'm a very visual person, so if I forgot your name but I remember who you look like, that's always a problem. So this is going to be a dark red in here. How do I make my dark red? I take a little alizarin color, which I use Scarlet Crimson Scarlet Lake. Scarlet Lake I use for my crimson. And you can use that for darker parts of your red. I mix that with my Scarlet Lake. Scarlet Lake, Crimson Lake. Oh, that's Crimson Lake. That's what it's called, Crimson Lake. A lot of lakes. Just laying it in here. I want that granulation happening with my pigment. This is my brightest. I know this is not my, right now it's also the darkest part, right? Because it's red, though it's brighter than everything else is going to be. So I can either make it brighter or lighter. Hope that makes sense. Because brightness of a color is almost acting like a brightness of the color too, is acting as like the light. Give her a little, actually she's all dark, and so you can just put that over there. This ground. And so I'm going to form the truck darks and lights right away. It's my lightest light. It's the light. And so I'm just going to go in there. Even if I got to put a little detail into it, that's fine. And the background, you're saying, why didn't you do the background first? The background's my dark, and so I don't need to do my background first this time. There's a little bit of sky in there, but I can do that later too. Not every landscape is done light or back to front. And normally it is because your lights are in the background and your sky basically, but this one happens to be not. Cheers, everybody. Good morning. It'd be so neat to be able to do like a plein air painting every week, or a plein air convention every week. It's just so much fun. If you ever get a chance, next year it's going to be in Lake Tahoe, and go to pleinairconvention.com and check it out with the dates around this time again, and just so much fun. And some of the artists out there, they're going to be out there already. They have them listed, some of them, and there's a couple of them that I really again want to meet. And that's the nice thing is that you get to meet all those artists that you see all their beautiful stuff. You get to meet them. Thanks, Mary Beth. Hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That way you'll always, you'll never miss anything, because I put it on there and they'll identify and tell you when I'm doing things like this. I wasn't about to do this one today because I was so tired last night after driving 11 hours back home in Illinois. All right, so there's my lights. That's just my lights area. And so now I'm going to start with my middle tones here and go to my darks. So let's get the ground in the front here. And red, what's that complement of red? Is kind of green, right? And so I can get like a grayish tint of green. It's better here to get some texture. This is not super, this tire's gray. I got some grays here, or you make your grays with complements. That's like a green gray. And so even when you're thinking of stuff like that, when you're thinking complements, when I'm doing a middle tone like here, I want to get texture. Well, I want to get it darker than the truck, or darker than the truck, but I also want to get it the different the complement of that, of red is green. But when I say green, it doesn't mean it's like a bright green. It's just a gray green. I actually have a gray green in here. It's kind of a yellow green. I think it's called yellow gray, I think it's called. A little spatter. I like to hit my hand with the brush, and then her leg and it'll be all darker. We had an interesting conversation when we were painting the day before at the Biltmore. And we were painting at the Biltmore on Friday, and I was talking to a lot of artists that were out there, Kyle Bretsky, and it's amazing, all the teachers that I was talking to, they're all talking about how important the drawing is. You really have to watch your drawing. I mean, it's like the number one most important thing, really. And Amit Kapoor, he's a watercolorist, and look him up. He's an unbelievable watercolorist from India. And oh my gosh. And we were talking one day, and we were talking about, what's the biggest problem I think with students having as they get more into painting more and more, is that their inability to really draw it any way. And so I've got to get out that book for you guys. Amazon sells tiny printers. Oh, that's cool. Post a link. I wonder if you can post a link into this chat, and then we can look at those stickers. Notan, get the Notan. You need to do the drawing and then get a good composition. There's no way around that. You really, people say, well, no, it's just for classes. No, it's not just for classes. It is literally the most important thing, is drawing and getting your vision of the scene should be established before you even start. I don't care if you're an oil painter or a watercolorist. I think that when I used to be more of an oil painter, because when I was in school I was more of an oil painter actually in the beginning, and I did that even for oils. We did that for oils because we did a thumbnail instead of a value study. We call them thumbnails. Again, it's a small little drawing that helps you to understand where your value pattern is going to be and the whole design of your painting. I'll put a little blue here, grayish green blue, like that means turquoise kind of. So I put a little bit of that in the windshield. And it's neat to hear and talk to some of the other teachers about things that they teach and listen to them. I didn't get a chance to go to as many demonstrations as I would have liked, because I was in the vendor hall when I was showing and demonstrating myself. So I didn't get a chance to go really into some of the works. I did see Ian Stewart. I saw his demonstration for a little bit. I really wanted to see Amit Kapoor's, but I didn't get a chance, unfortunately. Now this is darker. I'm just getting my darks back here, my middle tones, big areas. It's still wet, the truck, but that's okay. We're just going to make the paint thicker right there. And I'm wetting as I go along, and what I just noticed is that I just put this part over here, and that's supposed to be light, but that's okay. We'll make that a little bit lighter, but I don't want to make it white of the paper, and so I'm just going to put that there, and now just... I don't even have my large brush, so this is not my largest flat, but I can't find it. I think I put it in, I didn't take it out yet of my bag in the car. It's still sitting in the car. I took nothing out of the car yet. I was super tired last night when I got back, and I just need to go to sleep. Ask questions, guys. It's okay. You can ask any questions. So now let's cool this down a little bit. That seems a little bit harsh, so maybe take a little alizarin and take a little bit of Prussian blue, maybe again kind of a purpley brown. Purple and brown I find to be the same. I mean, purples and browns are like cousins. They are very closely related. So I'll make a little bit of... If I put a little green in there, crack and gold, that'll give it a little brown feel to it. And put it on pretty thick. I want to make it dark, but not so dark that it's going to take away. I hope it runs upwards, not downwards. And these lines, that I can put those in afterwards. There's like lines on this board. And actually, if you notice at the place, there actually was signs up here, but they were very distracting from all the other stuff. And so I took them off. I took all these signs off the image, because that would be like too much, and I'm not wanting to focus on those signs. And I could have blurred them, but then they were all white, and so my pattern, my light and dark pattern, would have been ruined. So I took them off. I took off the things, and I put a little lines in there instead. Thanks, Erica. All right, so there's my wall in the back, and there's a window. That's a white window. I think I'm gonna leave that out too, because I'm not sure I want a white thing right here, right on the edge of that, and so I'm just gonna keep that out of there. And so you notice I do change things sometimes as I'm painting. I may go in and find that I don't like a certain thing, and it's okay. You know, you can change a little bit. You can change of the composition, like stuff like that, where the little things you leave in and out. That's okay. You know, that's part of the painting process, is that sometimes you put stuff in, sometimes you take it out while you're painting, and that's perfectly fine to do. Because you established already the main, you know the main part of your composition, you know that already. So I'm now just going in and getting my darks and lights and my Baccarat 3-step, which I couldn't believe Bob Upton, he had, we were talking, Bob and I and Carl and a couple other artists, we were talking, and he was saying, yeah, I remember this guy saying at a demonstration, he goes, oh, hey David, was that you that said that? It was about my Baccarat 3-step, and I taught that when I did the demonstration there. And I talk about how the painting shouldn't look good until the very end when you put the details in, because it's not done. It's not, you don't have the stuff to make it look like whatever it is. These are just big areas, right? And so it's not going to look good until the end. Now here, this is a middle tone I'm going to do first, and there's a flag right there, and there's people back here. And I can just make them wet in the wet, and I'm just going to make this dark and soft edge so that you really don't see any hard edges back there, because I don't want it to pop forward. I just need it to be a nice dark back there. So I'm going to wet it and then play with it until I feel like it's a dark, but also shows a little bit of something going on back there. So it's wet here. I'm just going to take a little bit thicker pigment, get this part done, and also I'm going to go with more of a cooler color, like this. Maybe this. Let's see, is it a little bit of sky showing? I have a little bit of blue there. So let's show a little sky back here. Maybe a little bit of blue. And then there's trees, green trees, and that's okay to put green in there. I will have to put it somewhere else later on, so maybe I'll again make it a more of a greenish gray. Yeah, I never look at the picture photo for exact colors. I don't ever do that. I never look for the exact color of what's in the photo. I know it's a red truck. I know it's a red building, but I'm not testing my brush against the photo to make sure I get the exact color. No, I don't do that at all, because that's like if you want to be outdoors and you want to get the exact color, you can kind of look at it and kind of put it down and see if it's okay. But in a photograph like this, it's not exact color anyway, so you just make it up. There's the flag. I'm just going to go around the flag a little bit. And this should be all out of focus, so I don't want any focus back here. I want it all blurry, and that means wet in the wet. Maybe a couple little spatters into the water just to get some texture. Texture gives you kind of like a little bit of detail too. I don't want to go around her face because her face, I don't want to go into her face because that would be like an ugly color in her face. Just make it really nice, dark down here. If I follow that no-tan, I know for sure that my composition is going to work because I already see it. And it's right there. I mean, right there's the no-tan. I know that's going to work if I keep the values to that color. I mean, to those values, it will work no matter what. And my drawing is pretty decent. I don't think I am too off on anything. So whatever color you put in there, I think it's going to work as long as you figure out that you have nice values, the correct values in there. Just nice and dark. The thicker your paint is when you're working a wet in the wet wash, the more control you have of it, and it doesn't run as far when it's wet. I'll take my smaller brush, and now I'm gonna I'll put like some red or maybe some pink in there for making it look like there's faces back there. I'm not gonna do, like bodies, or I'm just gonna put little heads. Like there's something going on back there. You can put like tree branches. All very dark, and so you can kind of see something happening, but again, maybe not. It's out of focus, and out of focus is just what that states. It's out of focus. Next year, Pace will be in Lake Tahoe, and we're staying in Reno. So that's a little bit farther away, and so I'm not sure if I'm going to be driving next year, but I'm going to see if I can maybe find some things to do along the way, like spend another week just in the West, and finally maybe do the North Dakotas, and just go up after I get done, and just go upwards, and then come back a northern route. And so there we have the back of the truck. All right, so now we pretty much have all our large lights and darks, right? I mean, the fender should be a little bit darker. The windshield will be my dark too, so I'm gonna do that next. Do the windshield, do the front grille. Just get all my big mediums and darks going here now. That's my background. My background's fine. So let's go into this windshield, and looks like there's a little bit of reflection here on the side. Goes from white to blue. Blue. I've been really getting into where I'm trying to get a little bit of gouache and watercolor all in my paintings now. I'm really want to start a new way of painting, a style that's my own. That there are not many people that are doing the wash and watercolor together as one. They're either doing watercolor or doing gouache. They don't think it's, but it really, being that it's the same thing. One is opaque, and it's both watercolor. One is opaque and one is transparent, and so I do want to do it more so that I use both of them all the time, that you see both the watercolor and the pigment, the thick pigment on the same painting. I like the look. I really am enjoying the look, and I'm going to follow that one artist, that Simon Pisani. But his stuff is just, I just was looking at it again this morning to see. And when you really like somebody's work and you look at it, you can kind of look and see how he does things, how he thinks. I still haven't done one of his paintings yet because I want to really get in there and see how he paints and what he paints to make it detailed and what parts are not detailed. It's not as detailed as one thinks. When you look at the paintings, they're pretty loose. He just puts the tightness in certain areas that makes it look really, really nice. And that's hard to do, knowing what to make light or what to make loose and what to make tight in your center of interest. And do the dashboard. And to make this look like glass, how do you make it look like glass? You reflect. You reflect. It's a mirror. And some parts, like, you see through there, but there's some parts you don't because you're reflecting the sky from the side. So your windshield is like white because it's basically reflecting the sky in there. And I got to get a little bit darker in there because the one part is really dark when it comes to underneath here. Like, it just starts to be really dark right here. That's the inside, and you're seeing the wall, inside wall here. And then you see out the window. What color do you use? Whatever I've been using on my palette. You know, when you use your palette, it's always good to let the stuff stay. Don't clean it up wipe it every time, because that's the painting. That's the colors that you're using for this painting. So it's right there. So if you need a dark, dip into your darks, dip in, because you know you already put it on there, so it'll work fine. Here's the back window. And there's the steering wheel. And now there's reflections in this window here, which I'm going to do a little bit of. Oh, that's okay. Get a little bit dirty here, that's fine. I put a little reflection in the window of, like, it's going to, like a mirror, and it's bouncing off and seeing the stuff over here. All these little leaves and stuff, that's what's bouncing off there. Okay, I'm going to really quickly put in the colors of the flag. Out of focus, but there's an American flag just hanging there. And while it's still wet, I want it to be soft edge. I don't want to be tight with it. I just want it to be indication that there's a flag back there. Being that it's Memorial Day weekend, you might as well put the flag in there. Now look at how light this dried, and not very vibrant in brightness. But this truck is kind of rusty and not so vibrant, anyways. But that's okay. We can always do, like, darker, and we can put more pigment in there afterwards. I don't like this how this bled in here, so luckily I can just rub that out. All right, now what did I say? Oh, the front grille. Let's do the front grille. So there's my window. Let's work from left to right so they don't have to go over. Like, if I go here and make that first, then I'm going to go over constantly. So I'll start over here and start putting in my darks over here too now. And this is my large darks, but I pretty much got my large darks, so this is my detailed darks in a way. I have been using those tiny paper sample books and my grayscale brush pens to make the quick mini value study thumbnails you taught me, and that is really helpful. Yeah, those things are really good from Holbein. I mean, Legion makes those little sample pads, and so if you're ever around, ask me for some of them, because I'm going to try to get a bunch of them. And I actually noticed I had a bunch of them still available. Every once in a while, when I'm in class, I kind of hand them out to my students. Because they're really nice. I mean, and they're great, like you said. They're great, great, great for making thumbnail studies. I'm going to keep this edge soft. There's a lot of white in here that I'm going to have to scrub out because I kind of went over that. But let's get our darks first. I'm not being very careful with these lines yet because it's important. Yes, they are important, but they're not my darkest dark yet. So when I do my dark little highlights, I call them dark highlights or light highlights, then I'll go in there and get the really tiny, teeny little things that are really matter. So now I just get over here with the gray. Everything in the front here should be darker than stuff in the light. So some of these light things, they should be gray, but they should be darker because otherwise it won't stand out as being in a shadow. Nothing in the shadow should be as light as in the darkest light in the light area. I know some people will be like, I'm going to lose my edges and stuff. Well, that's where the drawing comes in. Like if you lose your edges, you just kind of make it up. And then you go slow and you just kind of draw it again with your brush. So now I know this is shiny white, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use white paint for that. I'm going to use white paint for my shininess. Now when the headlights I left, because I do want to make them look really cool with some darks in there. They have like, it's like, let me do that later, that's detail. Let's not worry about that yet. This whole front bumper is, see how it's just sticking out like a sore thumb? So I know it's white, but it's going to have to be definitely darker. Put a little bit of reflecting because it's, again, this is not shiny, it's just a white. So we'll have, you can use any value you want, or any color you want for a shadow in white. And underneath here, all these little parts are going to be even darker. They're all going to be black. I'll make them solid black when I get to that point. Alright, so let's do the wheel. Get a really dark in here. And again, some people ask me, do you mix your blacks? No, I do not mix my blacks. I just use black and I put color into to make it look colorful black. It's a lot easier. Let me tell you, for students, it's a lot easier for teaching them. Just to take the black and mix some color into it to get a really colorful black. Like right here, and I started with black, I put a little bit of red into it. And now I will throw other colors in there. Like I'll take a bright red and I'll just put it right into the black. And it's floating right in there and it's going to look nice. Now there's a shadow right here. It's on the ground, so you can't tell the difference between what's part of the car or truck and what's part of the ground. And that's fine. I'm going to take the shadow right to her. Put a little orange in there too to make it a little more brown. And since it's pebbly, like it's not asphalt, it's just like gravel. And so how do you make texture for gravel? Well, there's many different ways you can do that. Do whatever you can to make texture. I like the spatter, but I'm just going to leave this really kind of rough here first, rougher than it is in the photo, because that way it'll give it a look of like a rough texture. I'm going to take a little bit of really dark right here in the bottom of the tire, because right here is the bottom, it's in the shadow. It goes up a little bit. So many students are afraid of using black because they were told by their teachers always to mix it, and so I think it almost hurts sometimes when people and students are scared of doing something. When you're scared of, because you think, well, if I don't mix my blacks, I'm not going to get them colorful. And then they just never use black and they never get dark enough. So I don't mind you using black because then you're for sure going to get dark enough. A big problem of many beginners is they never get dark enough because they're mixing their blacks and they're not getting it. They're not making it dark enough because they didn't hit it right. It's dark, but they may not just be dark enough. So here I'm just going in and getting the side of the tire. Get some little marks for the tire. And now things like the just bumper being kind of really like all textury and rusty, or just all the rough look. I mean, it's very rough, but so that you can get with just spattering and being really sloppy with your paint. Get a little bit of her shadow against the car. And here's a mirror. Make the mirror a little bit darker than it is, and I can always lighten it up with my sucking it in with a thirsty brush, pulling that in again. Put a little blue in there too, because again, anything that's metal will reflect a little bit of the blue sky. The reason I love this kind of painting so much is because my dad was a mechanic, and I used to work on cars myself, and it's fun. I mean, cars are so neat. I know a lot of ladies in my class usually always had a problem with drawing them, but when I was a kid in school, man, that's all I ever drew was cars. So it becomes easy, you know, a lot easier if you really like something that you're painting and drawing. If you like it, boy, it's really fun to do. Now the top of this should be a little bit lighter, so watch this. I'm just going to take a brush, because it's a fender on the top here, right above the light, a little bit lighter. And so I'm just going to take and brush it a little bit with water in my. I could always use and actually it gives me texture, and this truck has texture in it anyway, so getting the texture back by rubbing it, hey, do whatever you have to. Do whatever you have to. Okay, let's get into her real quick. So I'll use my small round. Where's my small round? Don't have a small round. Here it is, small round. So, and she looks like a Native American. I thought would be good, because it was Cherokee County we were in when we were painting up there. And so I'm just gonna do her middle tone on her face, and a little bit darker. And her hair is darker, so I can go right into her hair. Since she's Native American, I'm gonna make it solid black. Not red this time, see that? Down here. And she has a long shadow on that side of her face, but we'll get that when we do details. Then her dress is darker in pattern, right? And so it's kind of a purpley brown gray. Let's go with a little bit of lavender. Again, I just pick up colors that I feel at the moment, and lavender, and I looked actually at the picture to see what it's kind of a grayish dress with a kind of a pattern in it. So of course it's going to have a little bit of red because she's leaning against a red truck, and so there's definitely going to be red in there reflecting into her dress. And it kind of is be really dark right here where you don't see the edges, but then you can put an edge onto it later. And then I'm going to do a little bit of texture with thick paint. So I'll take some like black, some black, and maybe some alizarin here. And I will just do a small pattern, like with my brush like this. I'll just use it thicker so that it gets into the water, and then it's still lights and darks in the dress, but has a little bit of a texture then. Maybe the lights on here, and do it while it's wet, and the outer edge is hard because that is the outer edge of the dress. But inside here, just keep on working it until you feel you get the right kind of look and shapes and folds and all that kind of stuff you can do. Like on her chest, it's a little bit lighter because it's facing towards the sky, top, and then underneath would be darker. And then there's some folds, and the folds can go, they're dark on the opposite side, light in the front. So I'm kind of using lavender for that. And you're always thinking shapes. I mean, you are so much thinking shapes all the time, like what's in front, what's behind. Now her shoulder and her flesh tones. Remember, Don Andrews talked about flesh tones in Naples yellow and fuchsia, so I'm going to use, it's really a great example of great flesh tone colors. I've been, ever since I took his workshop, I've been using that, and it looks so good. I'm so glad I learned that from him, which colors to use for flesh tone. I use Naples yellow and fuchsia. And for darker skinned people, you just use more of the darker colors. Now her hair will be, and also, you know, again, she's leaning against a car that is bright red. So you are definitely going to have that red in her flesh tone also. And if I get to a point where I've got it too dark, the flesh tone, I can always go back with gouache and kind of come back with some gouache and make it thick on top of that. That's okay. There's nobody's going to arrest you. So get a nice shadow there. And her hair is going to be solid black. I mean, it's going to be super, super black. And so I want to get shiny, shiny black. And so I'm just going to go in there with black and blue. Really dark. Just a little bit of a stripe there too. So I can go really dark right there. When I get up to the top where it's shiny, that's where I'm going to use some blue. I'll use some peacock blue or ultramarine. And instead of white, I'll use light blue to make it look like it's reflected and the black is shiny. And this side over here too, I'm just going to make a little bit of that side. Again, look at, by using solid black, it gets really dark, and you're going to make it nice and dark. How much time do I have? Hey, Marcia. I need some coffee here. But you can see it's already coming together as, you know, it's a lot. I've learned a lot watching some of these professionals. There's just, it's amazing. You know, watch YouTube, watch some of their YouTubes. If you ever see their demonstrations online, you know, watch them. It's just amazing. And same thing with it. You don't have to watch me, but watching other teachers, that's a great thing. I mean, I watch a lot of myself because you learn from everybody. It's just so neat to see. And that actually, that's one thing I really put across to a lot of the people who I met, is that they're watching me. They like watching. I go, hey, you know, you should be watching so and so right now too, because he's in over so and so, and get in there and watch his work, because it's really good to see everybody. Because everybody may paint like the same materials, with the same materials, but everybody has their own little way of teaching too, and how they state certain things that they're doing. I'm gonna go here. Just get this. Sorry, I got a picture here. I needed to get her legs here. I'm using fuchsia, Naples. Oh, that's her leg going this way. She got a really dark shoe back here. put her in sandals. And this is not like, if you're new here and you've never been to my YouTube channel, this is not a paint along. This is me just painting and turning on a camera and just showing you what I'm doing. I like to practice every Sunday, and I'm really gonna have to get ready for this competition I'm doing in June 7th and 8th, where I've only got an hour to do a painting, and you're going against 64 other artists. But the first, it's like a bracket. That's going to be in Wauwatosa, and I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna show it online while I'm doing it, and so that you vote for me, because you guys are the voters, I think. And I think you can vote online if you're there in Wauwatosa. You can vote there, so that's gonna be kind of fun. So I'm gonna definitely be talking about that a lot, because see if I can't get as many people I can out there to vote for me. Texture, and now I'm going to take a little bit of paper towel, cover up some parts of this right here. I want to spatter this curve here a little bit. Just take, your paint there and just spatter it up and down. If you hit downwards, it makes round. If you hit it from the side like this, it makes it, make elongated spatter. And then you can go over it too to kind of mess it up a little bit, and because you don't want it all look the same. And it's okay to get in the truck a little bit, because there's a lot of rust spots on this truck. And a lot. So yeah, I'm just going to do that to the truck right here. Tap it down a little bit here. A little texture. Let's get a little bit redder right here in the front where it's kind of shadowed. It goes downward a little bit. I think it just needs to have a little bit more of that pigment to really brighten the pigment. Not so much lighten it, but brighten it with a bright color. It just seemed a little bland, and so I'm just gonna put it a little bit thicker and with color. That means just using it pure. I'm just using it pure and floating it in pigment. Maybe a little bit darker as it goes underneath here, though it doesn't go very much, but maybe just a little bit darker as it goes underneath there. Same thing with right here. If I just take a alizarin, just kind of go in there, just make it a little bit darker, just a little bit. And this tire back here is just too hard edge and too detailed. We want to just bring that down. We don't need to see that much. And when that dries out, I'll have to texture it again with spatter. All right, so now what do? Super detailed. Now we go in there with a really small brush, a really small round brush, and we pick things out, and we get it super detailed. All the little things. Like, let's say for instance, this little placard here, which it has some words on there. I'm not sure what it says, but I wouldn't type it in anyway, so I'm just gonna fake some lettering in here. And also, this is a time where you can do light highlights and dark highlights, meaning that I'm gonna take pure white and maybe hit some highlights where it sparkles. And there's some sparkle. I know the truck isn't very bright, but you can put little, like, here's a little things in there. So that a tire can have a little bit light. I still have to work on her face. Her face is gonna have to be done a little bit better. There's a dark in there. Oh, I was gonna do that in the windshield, right? There's definitely some spark in the windshield. I think I kind of dirty the white, but that's okay. Let's get these headlights real quickly. Some blue in there. Get some grays in there. Now I'm not going to go really dark, but the top of the headlight usually is a little bit darker. And it's usually kind of comes forward, and there's little dots. And then bottom maybe a little bit. And if I don't make it dark, then I can't go back in with the light either. So I like to make things darker first, and then go back in with the light on top of it. Now with super dark details, I call them these dark highlights. And there's like the little lines that are super, super dark, like looking inside the little grill right here. There's some grills right here. So watch this. It's going to make it really dark. And that's inside the grill. And that's just pure dark. You don't need to put color in there. It's just so small an area. So I'm just going to leave it nice and dark. And I am just using black. It's okay. There's a bunch of these little crevices. They're like little crevices, and it's neat to just put that detail in there. And then things start looking good. They start looking like something. In the middle of the... Do another dark right here. See how detail starts making things look good? Because before, they're not going to look detailed, and you don't want to because you don't have the big parts done. But there is a time and place to put the detail, and it's right now, the very last thing. And that's where things start coming together and start looking like something. They look like the objects that you're trying to interpret. Any other questions? How much time do I have? Oh, not much. We're almost there. I always get pretty quiet too when I'm doing detail because I have to think. Like, what am I still going to do? What parts still need darkness to them? Oh, it's raining outside. Great. My lawn needs some definite cutting, and it's very high, but looks like I'm not doing that today. Alright, so let's get some really dark, some purple, dark blue, just dip into all of it, just get really dark. I'm just going to go in here and do some really darks, texture it up a little bit. This has got to be a little bit too light up here, so I'm just going to darken that up a little bit. If I want texture in there, I can spatter in there too. Maybe I'll put a little bit of this over it, protect it. Spatter over here. And then I was going to say that with this, the last here, how much time we have? Oh, we still have plenty of time. A little bit of white. This is actually like chrome right here. There's some chrome, and chrome is a lot of really darks and a really lot of lights. And this is the front grille type of thing, and so it's kind of neat to get in here and really detailed. Here's the Chevrolet logo, emblem. Boy, did I do that one terrible. Actually, let's just put red because there's a little red in the emblem. So I'm just going to draw it with the red. And then the white comes right on top of there, and this is where, you know, do you use masking fluid beforehand so you're not using any white, or do you just use white? And that depends on if you're going to enter it into TWSA, or if you're not, don't worry about it. Just go in there and take white. And I don't have my white gouache here, so this is my watercolor white. So it's not quite as covering as the gouache. Oh, see, this light is all, I didn't make that dark yet. What was I doing? Oh, this emblem. This emblem still is in shadow, so I don't want to make it. I don't want to make it more blue because it's still it's not in the sun. So So get a little bit of that in here too. Get the color in there. And so you notice next year Hernandez, the gouache, what's his name? Hernandez. He's gouache something gouache. But he's going to be there at Pace, and I can't wait to see his work. His stuff is amazing. I think he must use a lot of gouache too. But look him up, and it's Hernandez something, and he's the gouache. Oh gosh, Mike Hernandez. There you go. Thanks, Maria. He's going to be there at Pace next year, and I'm dying to meet that guy because it'd be fun to see how he does his stuff, how he paints. And so he'd be teaching. I'm not sure he's teaching there. I think he may be one of the teachers too that does the a workshop, because there's like before the thing starts, there's some of the teachers do workshops, and he may be one of them. Now there's a little bit of rust or blue in here, so I'm just going to put that in there with gouache. All right, 4 minutes. I will be done. I just gave her a bad lip here. Yeah, he's I just love his work. I have him on Instagram, and I always see he paints so much, and man, his work is just absolutely wonderful. And great use of gouache. I mean, the way he paints it, like he almost paints it like oils with the gouache, and I want to have a little bit combination of that, what he does, but then with the gouache, they have put gouache on it afterwards. I don't mind making, this is not gouache, but it is thick, and you know, there's no need not to do that. I mean, I love that look. And I think that is about it. The flag. I don't think I see too much else. Let's see, how much more time? 3 minutes. I'll highlight there. Really darken up in here in this window here. We can do a really dark. Let's make her really dark here too. And this is very opaque, what I'm doing right now. It's very opaque. It's not wet into wet. It's not floating. It's very thick stuff that I'm doing right now for details. You don't have to do as much for that. You don't have to float as much because you're just doing small little things to indicate sharp edges, sharp turns, and I was going to do these lights in front. Squash. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, Maria. I met so many people and had to remember so many names this last week that I'm burnt out when it comes to names. I forgot everything. But thank God you guys give me your cards. All right, there you have it. That's it. I think that's all I'm going to do. So everybody have a nice Memorial Day weekend. And I will have my newsletter out on Tuesday. And I will be back in the swing of things. And next paint along will be Thursday. And I have no idea what it's going to be. But stay tuned. Please, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And we will see you soon. I'm just looking at anything else. It's a little bit darker right here. And there's the train telling me that it's time to quit. All right. Not bad for a Sunday morning. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by. And if any questions, even afterwards, you can always put them on there. Hey, train. Just let me know. You know where to find me at beckerart.net or davidarbecker.com. And join me on Thursday. All right. We'll see you then. Bye, guys.